This meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
Good evening, everyone. It's now 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Kent County Regional Planning Commission public hearing for April the 2nd. And as we customarily do, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Mr. Govry if he would say it, please. Welcome, everybody. And I ask Ben, we have a crowd tonight, that if you have a cell phone or any other electronic device, that you put it on vibrate so it won't interrupt us during our meeting. We'll now get into roll call and determination of quorum. Sarah?
Mr. Peterman?
Present.
Mr. Servan?
Present.
Mrs. Karcher?
Here.
Mr. Galvry?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 7 present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Before you, Commissioners, you have the agenda for tonight's meeting. If there's no other changes or anything additions or subtractions, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
So move.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Servon,
Yes to approve.
Mrs. Karcher,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Galvery,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Mills,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Davis,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Jester.
Yes to approve.
So we have 7 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
Thank you very much, and I'll come right back to you, Sarah, now for the introduction and public hearing instructions.
Thank you. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the Regional Planning Commission. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room. For the record, please give your name and address. All testimony given shall be sworn or affirmed. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. The record will remain open for 2 business days following the hearing. For the applications before the commission, the chairman will introduce the application. Then the applicant or representative will be given 15 minutes to present the application. Following that, those in favor of the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. Then those opposed to the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. When everyone has had an opportunity to give testimony, the hearing on the application will be closed. No decision will be made by the Planning Commission tonight. The Commission will hold a public business meeting next Thursday, April 9th at 6 p.m., at which time it will make a decision on the applications heard tonight. All information of record will be considered. A common vote of 4 members of the Commission is required to make a decision. Anyone may attend the business meeting, but no new public testimony will be received. The public notice of this hearing was published on March 11, 2026 in the Delaware State News, and the Kent County Levy Court will hear the public hearing applications with the exception of the subdivision on Tuesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. unless tabled by the Commission or withdrawn prior to the Levy Court hearing. The Levy Court also meets in this room. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. I apologize for talk tonight, but we all know how the sinuses and everything, how it's been, so I'll do the best I can. Well, now, hearing. Our first application tonight is C-26-01. Applicant and owner is Valerie A. Singleton, trustee, 41 Doe Hill Courts, Camden, Delaware. Zoning District AC, relation to growth zone inside, present use residential. Proposed use, same with a daycare. Levy Court is 4th District, Mr. Scott. School District is CR. Fire District is Magnolia Station 55. It's 0.53 acres on the south side of Doe Hill Court, being lot 44 in Country Field. Is there someone here tonight to represent the application? Please come to the mic. Give us your name and address, and you can either be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
I can speak now. I'm Valerie Singleton, 41 Doe Hill Court.
Ms. Singleton, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Ma'am, you can pull that right up to you. It moves.
Oh, okay. Thank
You
you.
make sure you get close to it because some of us are up here are hard hearing.
I can speak now.
Go right ahead with your presentation.
Okay. Okay, as you know, I reside at 41 Doe Hill Court. I've been there for 20 years. You have to excuse me because this is the first time I had to go through this. Well, my plans were to open up a daycare, and I'm here to address some of the 4 papers that came back that opposed to the daycare. Okay, for one, it was told that there will be no traffic because I did not want a commercial daycare. I only wanted a private daycare of 6 children. Okay, I'm a grandmother of 7 and 3 of them that I would be taking care of. Second of all, the ages are from 2 to 5 years old. I am a retiree from the Postal Service. I just retired, so my passion is kids. I'm also a foster mom for 15 years. So I said to myself, okay, what do you want to do next? I would love to open a little private daycare. No, it will not be food trucks or anything to that nature because it's a home family daycare. I will not have staff because you don't need any staff for 6 children. My driveway fits 6 cars. I am the only one that went to my HOA and asked them about this whole daycare, and they approved me. Now, I know it's concerns of the neighborhood, and I read some off like frequent noise, food supplies, equipment waste. It's no need for 6 children at the age of 5 to 6 years old. And the reason why I want this daycare is sometimes you have parents, they work all the time. They don't have time nowadays to really prepare their kids for school. And I want to be one of the ones that to help and to prepare to start them for school. I don't want kids, teenagers, junior high. I just want to prepare the little siblings going to school. That's all I wanted. So my other concern with one of the neighbors, I don't know what this is mean by cows gazing in the backyard. We're talking about children. We're not talking about animals. So I don't even know why this was presented. Not only that, I have here where I was approved through the HOA, and I explained the same thing. And far as the lot, the kids will be inside. Most of my neighbors, they're working, and I have another neighbor was a concern about a pool. I have a fenced-in yard, and she has a fenced-in yard, and we're 6 feet apart. And I would always be out there to make sure the kids are safe. My hours of the operation that I was running is from 7 to 5, and most of the time, you know, it's different times, but I have a cutoff point from 7 to 9. If you're not there by that time, you can't come. So that's the only my concern, and I understand my neighbors that's their concern because we all been in this development for 20 years. We also had landscapers been in our development and nothing was said, and it started off from 1 to multiples of 4. And no, they're no longer there. They moved. Nothing was said about that. We also had an ice cream truck business company that was in the yard, and it wasn't supposed to be there. Nothing was said about that. So I can just go on, but that's not what I'm here for. My passion is to try to get approved to take care of the little ones. That's all I want. You know, whatever they do, you know, at least I could say I tried, I came and did it the right way. I did things because a lot of times in there, things are overlooked and nothing is done and nothing was said. So far as I know, they should have went to them, but when the 6-foot fence came there, it was overlooked. Then it was put in the HOA after the fact. So I guess that's about it. I'm trying to cover up. And far as noise, how much can a 2 to 5-year-old make noise in a backyard? They only out for playtime, 30 minutes, a half an hour the most? Most of my neighbors behind me, they work. What else? I'm just trying to answer all their questions. Far as commercial, like I said, this is not a commercial. It's just a private family daycare. That's all I wanted.
See how easy that was? Good job.
Thank you.
Good job on that. I think to put it over to commissioners, I think Mr. Davis has a question.
Thank you for your testimony. It's not a county requirement, but I am kind of curious about one issue. These I know have came up before. Are you covered or planning on covering insurance, like liability insurance on those children? Or is that perhaps in your homeowner's policy that would be covered in case they got injured accidentally?
Well, I have to be covered because will be licensed through DSS. So I was told I definitely have to get insurance.
Thank you very much.
Any other commissioners?
Yeah, this is simple. I mean, this is a community service as it seems the way you're presenting it. So this would be open to anyone in your community that
Yes,
would have the need for this.
Yes, and that's why I feel that, it would be good because I can be a help to someone that, say if you have to work overtime, or some people work at hospitals, what have you, and a lot of times it's hard to get babysitters. And, I'm open to my community. If they need help or something goes wrong, I'm here. My doors are open for them.
I have nieces and nephews that I'm old enough to have nieces and nephews who have kids. And I know that daycare is always quality daycare, and caring daycare is always an issue and always a problem. I just actually have only one question. I did read the approval from the HOA, and but there wasn't anything in there other than the fact that they approved it, and at least in my packet. So the conditions that you just described to us, you're saying that they were the same conditions that you described to the HOA who issued the approval?
Yes.
So if I understand you correctly and how your HOA would work, that as long as you abide by the conditions that they gave you the approval for, there wouldn't be a problem with them.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Peterman?
These children that you're taking, are some of these your grandchildren?
Yes.
Okay, how many is your grandchildren? You're going to take about 6?
I'm a grandmother of 7.
Okay.
But,
how many will be your grandchildren?
3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners, including Peter, Paul? Peter?
Yes, I was going to ask, are you taking payment for having children attend?
Yes, I have to be licensed through the DFS, and in order, it's like a job. Yes, you do. They pay you for babysitting.
Okay, and some of the materials that we received previous, it mentions about the covenants of the housing development. It says that there's to be no businesses inside the housing development. How does that coincide with what you're aware of?
It says lot. It never said inside the home. And that's when I talked to the president and we discussed that. It says on the lot. So I wasn't thinking that it was inside my home, because it's a private daycare and 6 children inside the home.
Has the HOA addressed this particular issue?
Yes, I talked to them first, and the reason why I'm here
So
because I had some objections.
So they've actually made mention of the covenants and restrictions on the development?
Yes.
That's all.
Denise, you have any questions for this applicant?
Not at all. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, sorry, I don't jump in very often, but Kent County does not enforce private deed restrictions. In other words, those deed restrictions are for the HOA or for the people within there to do. The reason is, and I represent 2 of the 3 counties and lots of municipalities. In other words, unless those restrictions are written on behalf of, or that the county is the only person who can enforce, then it's the neighbors that it's up to them to enforce. They're not part of the code. So that's not really a consideration that can go into your approval.
Thank you, sir, for straightening it out. I appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am. I think we've gone through all the commissioners.
You're welcome.
I'll now ask, is there anyone else here in favor of this project and would like to speak? Third and final call. Is anyone else here in favor of this project and would like to speak? give us your name and address, and you can be sworn or affirmed by our attorney. You can pull that down to you, ma'am.
My name's Annette Fallon. I live at 1500 South Hancock Avenue in Dover.
Ma'am, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I'm a family daycare provider, and I've done family daycare for over 20 years in my home, in the communities where I live. And I just wanted to bring to the forefront what an enhancement it is for the community. It helps out the community. That's why I did it. And because parents need good daycare at a reasonable price. Because if you go to a daycare center, you're going to pay probably more, like double of what you would normally pay a family daycare provider. And parents feel more safe with their children home, near home. And if a parent's running late and the child's in daycare, then they're going to get charged a big lump fee. But if they're running late to family daycare, that doesn't happen. And a lot of times kids get off school bus, parents are running late, they can't get home in time, and I was there to get their children so they don't have to rush and have accidents and things like that. But from my experience, what I see for the past 20-some years in doing family daycare in the community, it's a great enhancement for the community because you got your schools right there, daycare is there, so that's all I wanted to say. It enhances the community.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks for coming forward. Is there anyone else in favor of this application would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Anastasia Jackson. My address is 41 Doe Hill Court.
Ms. Jackson, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes. So I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of the initial testimony. It was mentioned about traffic. So I did put in the address in my GPS, and the entrance from when you come into the neighborhood to the house passes 6 houses. So I know that there is a concern of traffic. The only traffic that would be concerning would be for 6 houses for as far as the entrance to the house, well, 6 to 7. Also, noise complaints. I've also been there for almost all my life. The most noise I have heard has been lawnmowers. I feel like 6 kids wouldn't be as loud as someone mowing the grass in the morning or things of that nature. Also, I do know that quiet hours are between 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And considering the hours of operation, I don't think that that would be an issue for that as far as quiet hours and traffic and things like that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
To the opposition part, is there anyone here that's opposed to this application would like to speak?
Online.
Anybody online? Let's go with the ones in favor first online.
For our guests that's joining us online, if you would like to speak in favor of application C2601, please indicate by raising an electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online to speak in favor at this time.
Thank you, Mark. We'll now go to the opposition in-house. Is there anyone opposed to this application would like to speak? Please come to the mic and give us your name and address, and you can be sworn or affirmed.
Good evening. My name is Steve Bayreader. I live at 418 Fawn Path.
Sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, this is going to be a little bit embarrassing for me. I'm a relatively new member to our community. I came here from Nevada. I've only been living in the community for 2 years. Recently, I've been nominated and voted in as vice president of our HOA. So it comes a little disconcerting as far as the discussion about HOA approval. That's not something that, as the vice president of the HOA, I'm aware of. We did have some discussion through text messages, and one of the things we did get hung up on were the covenants and the use of the word lot. I took that to mean from the ground up. So that would include structures, buildings, whatever. But I'm not an attorney, so I'm not sure why that verbiage was necessarily used. I'm not here this evening to support nor not support the individual's desire to have a business. What I'm really looking for, and one of the reasons I'm here, is I'm hoping that maybe the committee here or the attorney here could help me understand that if we have CC&Rs in our HOA covenants, and if they specifically state that no business is to be performed or conducted on the lot, I'm wondering why we're even all here to begin with. Wouldn't the written documentation be the legal binding decision maker as far as people's requests to do something that is outside of? Now, I will agree with one of the other comments that was made earlier. From what I've seen in the 2 years that I've been here, is that the HOA is very lenient, extremely lenient. It is not something that, they don't crack down probably on a lot of things, but I don't know the history. Again, I've only been here for a short period of time. And I think the whole reason for the leniency is because we don't want to come across as, being overbearing or nitpicky. And, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. And again, past history I'm not that familiar with, but I do feel it's a little embarrassing for me to be here this evening as the vice president and not realize maybe some of the decisions or lack of decisions that have been made in the past, maybe they're coming back to haunt us. So I'll open myself up to questions.
I'd like to tell you that we actually have a document from C.J. Myers, who says that he's Countryfield HOA president and he approves this particular application.
Okay, C.J. Myers is in fact the president, so that is correct.
So we do have that in our packet.
So his approval would just override what is written as far as the covenants are concerned?
Okay, just making you aware of what we have.
That's actually not part of our jurisdiction, as we were just informed by her attorney, but running many companies and knowing the chain of command, if your president says that it's okay, I'm assuming that was a discussion with the members that constitute that body. But if it didn't, that's something that then you're going to have to take up with your president. But right now, usually your president speaks for and is the representative of an organization, unless you can show me that the vice president or the secretary or anyone else is the spokesperson. So as long as we've got the approval from the president for us, that's as good as we need to have it, because the county doesn't really get involved in these matters. It's more of an internal problem. Just for the record, I understand, but I appreciate what you're saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was Mr. Galbraith that had to speak. I didn't recognize you. That was okay. No problem. Mr. Attorney, would you like to say anything else?
No, I think you guys covered it. I mean, the problem with private deed restrictions, right? They're private and they're not government-based. And they're a private contract to be enforced by the HOA, to be enforced by the neighbors, whoever has an issue. So, as far as interpretation of the covenants and things like that, you'd have to go to the HOA, attorney or whatever process that you have. And I'm not super familiar because I didn't read the entire HOA documents, but there tend to be in these type of documents some way to get certain approvals. So we have to leave that to the HOA. We just do it on the land use application that's in front of us.
Thank you for your presentation, what you said, and I assume you're going to have a real interesting meeting when your HOA meets next time, and welcome to Delaware.
Thank you. One last thing. So given the decision evidently by the president, right? So as I understand it, and please, correct me if I'm wrong, the HOA is the community. The board is just what, the leaders of the community? What role does the board actually play? Because I think people kind of get the idea that the HOA is the board and the community is the community, and they're two separate entities. The way I see it is the HOA is the community, is the voice of the people living in the community. So to have one individual who happens to be the president of the panel make decisions for the entire community kind of makes the documents null and void, because it looks like one person can make all the decisions and the people actually living in the community don't have a voice.
I think our attorney wants to speak again.
So the HOA obviously is elected by all the people within the community, right? And if you think of it, it's a representative government, it's a corporation.
We're talking the board.
Right, the board is a representative government of the people. And if you don't like what the HOA is doing, you can run for yourself and be on the board and make those decisions. Sitting here today, we don't know really exactly how this approval came forth, but we do have a signed document from the person who is the leader of that corporation. So we're going to take that at its word unless there's other evidence presented that that wasn't true or something like that. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your statements.
Thank you.
Anyone else here opposed to this application would like to speak? You have a question for him? Sir, I think I got a question. Somebody has a question for you on the council. The gentleman that was just up there. Mr. Peterman?
You're on the HOA board, you said, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Have you denied or opposed in any way for any other daycare centers in there, or have approved?
You're asking, as far as I'm concerned, as a vice president of the HOA?
Yes.
I think what we should be doing as far as the board is concerned, as far as the corporation is concerned, we should be following the guidelines because we expect the people who live in the community to follow these. We should be setting the example.
Did you vote to approve that?
No.
But the others on the board did.
I can't tell you one way or the other whether they did or they did not. It came as a little bit of a surprise to me. Like I said, I did see text messages because I'm copied on them as well as the other board members discussing what is in our documents, but there was never a vote that I'm aware of.
Do you have any other home service businesses in that development?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, sir, for coming back. I think I saw somebody else that was opposed and like to come up. Give us your name and address. You can be sworn or affirmed.
My name is Nicole West, and my address is 84 Fawn Path Drive.
Ma'am, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So Valerie and I have been neighbors for 20 years. We were original homeowners. I understand that Valerie wants to do her daycare. We had a side conversation. My concern is just that the deed restrictions, the way that they're written, is that there should not be any businesses. And I know that we're kind of going back and forth as to whether, that's enforceable, that's not enforceable. But I know that we haven't allowed any businesses in 20 years that have been, and when I say businesses, I mean where customers are, you have a customer or client coming into the home that I'm aware of. And I'm not saying that I'm aware of everything in the neighborhood, but it's pretty small. We did have a lawn care, a man that owned a lawn care business. He did park his truck in the driveway, but there were not customers coming to the house. There was an ice cream truck driver. The ice cream truck did park at the house. That's true, but there were not customers coming into the house. So I think that there is, other businesses, and I would just want to be clear as to the comings and goings of people into the home and out of the home. And I think, talking about the potential for traffic, there is that, increase in traffic. We have 60 homes. It's not a lot. And I know Valerie doesn't plan on having 9, but if I understand the application, it did say she could have up to 9, so she could change her mind. But for us, if you're talking about 9 families coming in, 9 families going out, and then again at pickup, and then again at leaving, that is significant for our neighborhood. And I just want to, just make that known. In reference to what I think that has happened with the HOA based upon my interaction, because I know that seems to be a little bit of a sticking point with this, is based upon my conversations with CJ, who is the president. When I asked him about this, because when I received the letter, I stated, CJ, I did not think this was allowed. And he said, the HOA approved. And he used those words, approved. And I said, the HOA can't approve. It's written in the deed restrictions that you cannot approve. And So I posted on our neighborhood Facebook to say, just want to let everybody know, because only the residents within 200 feet received the letter. I wanted to let everybody know, like, this is out there. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of it, because not everyone would receive a letter. So of course that started some conversation on Facebook. And the wording from CJ at that point did change from approved to the HOA cannot approve. It is not within the HOA's ability to approve or to decline. And that was what was stated. And so I do think that Valerie was told approved. He told me approved. But also then he said that the HOA does not have, that's not part of the application process, is what he said. Valerie is certainly welcome to apply to have a business, but that the HOA, and he said he included the deed restrictions and whatever it was that he did send in. And so I think maybe there's just a little bit of wordplay here, but I do think that the word approved was used, but then also it was mentioned that the HOA does not have the capacity to approve or to decline an application. That would be up to the county to decide. And when I spoke with the ombudsman for Delaware, they seem to think that the HOA restrictions are enforceable. So I guess that's another thing for us to try to, figure out if, we go down that road. But that's just, I wanted to get some clarification on why we're having, whether the HOA did, they didn't, and, just, want to be fair to the other 59 houses in the neighborhood that, are adhering. And yes, we, do have some things, shutters might need to be replaced. Somebody might have a trailer or a camper out there too long, those kind of things. Yes, we do have those. But I really am not aware of somebody bringing customers into a home and then out of the home. So I just wanted to share that. Any questions for me?
Thank you very much. Any commissioners have any questions? Mr. Galbraith?
In terms of what we can look at, and our attorney will correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not privy to the bylaws of the HOA. I did read over some of the documents and the one clause that everybody seems to mention. And it's not comprehensive. It's not really all that detailed. It's open for some interpretation, I would imagine. But that's still not our position to weigh in on that one way or the other. That really has to do with the community and the body that they've chosen to represent them. And then within that body, how whatever their ruling is in terms of their hierarchy and how decisions are made and how things are voted. I was mayor of a town for 12 years, so I know that everything has a little bit of a different procedure, but there's still a procedure nevertheless. I have in front of me a daycare approval document by CJ Myers, and it says attached is the county's field deed restrictions, and that was attached. It's a 2.4 megabyte file on your laws. So he's making reference to that. And then he goes, the board has no objections to allowing you to operate a daycare inside your home. So unless there's something rescinds that, not an innuendo or he said or I heard or something was on Facebook, this is all we've got to go on. And I don't believe we have the authority to override what your community's documents say or interpret them. That's the decision for your board. That's why you've elected them. So if there's something in your documents that gives latitude, something in your documents that gives variances and things like that, I didn't look over the whole document, but you do have an attorney that knows that quite well. So I think that's where this has to go back to. It has to go back to, this is an internal matter as far as I'm seeing it. I don't see how we're able to weigh in on how you interpret your bylaws.
Mr. Garver, you have it exactly correct. And just I wasn't commenting on the enforceability of the deed restrictions, and if I gave that impression, I'm sorry. I'm saying that this board does not have the authority to interpret or enforce those restrictions because they are private restrictions. And there's courts and lawyers and that does that, but this board is not in the business of interpreting the deed restrictions. That is a private covenant, and that's something that needs to be enforced outside of the Regional Planning Commission of Kent County.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying legally. I think it's disappointing, though, I do have to say. You move into a neighborhood. I know folks have moved into our neighborhood because they didn't allow businesses, because they may have been in a neighborhood that did allow businesses before. And, it can negatively impact, property values, that kind of thing. I don't think a daycare would do that. But I think once you also, open up the approval process, then where does that then stop? If our deed restrictions are not enforceable by the county, and I understand that you can't get into it, it's legal, but I do want to state, because to me I'm no lawyer by any means, but it does say Section 1, no trade, business, commerce, industry, profession, or occupation shall be conducted on any lot. There's more to that, I understand, but that to me is pretty overreaching, and I think we knew at the intent of the...
Ma'am, you've exceeded your 5 minutes. I hate to cut you off, but we've kind of beat this horse to death, I think, and we can't do anything about it. So I'm going to have to ask, are you done with your presentation?
I'm done with my presentation.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here against this application would like to speak? Please give us your name and address. And I'll remind you all, you have 5 minutes. So we'll be cutting you off, and the attorney actually keeps time on this.
I was a little lax in the first one. I'll do a better job.
I know. We'll have to catch you up on that.
Hello, my name is Rick Stone. I'm at 64 Country Field Drive.
Sir, pull that up to your mouth. We can't hear you.
Mr.
64 Country Field Drive, Rick Stone.
Mr. Stone, do you
just
swear?
Bear with me just a little bit, because I just had surgery, and I've got to have to read this.
I need to swear you in.
All right, thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, I know that I don't want to rehash a lot that's been said too, because most of this I probably would be saying in repeat also. However, I got to say that I did talk with CJ about this when it came up, and I believe that he used some faulty logic, and I think that he may have acted more so on his own than as a board group. I think that's backed by the testimony of Steve, my other neighbor here, which is the vice president. But anyway, a couple of things that he brought up to me when I challenged him on this was the landscaper that lived in the neighborhood, and the premise that running a business, that's what he was doing. The landscaper, which I've lived in the neighborhood for 15 years out of the 20 of the neighborhood, he would go to work, and he had a business that was located in another neighborhood where he ran his business out of, and he would come home. And I think we all do that, going to work and come home, right? So there shouldn't be any disagreement with that. The ice cream truck was the same thing. Matter of fact, the ice cream truck guy lived in the vice president's house, and he used to drive the ice cream truck to work, do his job, come back home and park that. And that was the logic he used to approve Valerie, which I've known her. She is the first person in the community that I met when I came here and retired. But anyway, that was his logic, and I challenged him on it, and I told him it was faulty logic at the time. And I say that from a little bit of an experienced position on that, because I was the neighborhood HOA president for 4+ years. And as an HOA board, I have to say that you are responsible to be the gatekeepers for the community, because what you do is you represent that other 59 people that live in that community. And I can also say this, that when I went and bought my house, I bought my house because there was an HOA, a rule and a guideline. I'm kind of used to that because I spent 30 years in the military following rules and guidelines, and I wanted to protect my investment. Also, the CC&Rs that we have for the neighborhood were presented to me before I bought my house, and all the other 59 members out of the 60 community got those also, and they were also signed at close. And I had witnesses as my real estate agent and the lawyer that I purchased the house from that were doing the closing paperwork. So I understand your position, but I also have to take note that 60 residents, 59 minus Valerie here, are following these guidelines. And we expect some privacy We also expect our property values to be protected. And I think that the gatekeeping from the HOA could be better, but we do have a representative. We have a vice president right here, right now, that if that president made that mistake, that false decision or misjudged decision, and he said that he likes to follow the CCNRs, that's good enough for me. But that's my position on that as a resident. So I appreciate it, but you know, I wanted to say my piece. We have plenty of members of the community here that are not in favor of this, and I hate to see something like this by one individual drive a wedge with 59 other individuals in the neighborhood.
Thank you for your presentation. I think Mr. Galbraith has something he wants to say.
So that we don't keep beating this dead horse. I mean, you did indicate that the community looks at this body as the gatekeepers, and that kind of cuts both ways. We look at them as the gatekeepers too. So within the body of gatekeepers, the president is usually the spokesperson for that body. And so far, all we have is that document. I don't know what date that document came, and I don't know what time you had or everybody else had these other conversations, but subsequent to this document, we've not received another document that rescinds this one, where the president said, in consultation with the rest of my board and further review and so forth and so on, I rescind what I just said and I stand corrected and issue this ruling. So it's not for us, that's as far as we can take it. So I suggest that if what you're all saying is true, that he regrets what he's saying, then get him to submit something to us that counters what he already submitted to us, because right now this is what stands.
I completely understand that, and I think that our vice president here will probably be able to do that. I would also say that I challenged C.J. Myers, and I told him, I said, if he has a problem with the CCNRs, then we need to do an amendment and put it out to the community to vote on that, to get everybody in line with that as a community. All right, thank you.
I think Mr. Davis has something.
I just want to say one thing. I know this is a very sensitive thing. I've been on the Planning Commission for a long period of time, and you're not the first group that's dealt with this. We've heard this time and time again. And I think you heard the attorney say it's not within our jurisdiction is to enforce your law or your regulations you have in the HOA. So we're really beating a dead horse to death. And what really needs to be done, it needs to be corrected somewhere. I don't know if it's a legislative thing that needs to be done, if that should be a county thing. But I feel for you people. I understand your situation. But we've been into this thing, I know, 20, 30 times since I've been on the Planning Commission. And people leave, they get mad about it. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just the bottom line. That's what the law says. That's what we can comply with. So I hope you understand what our situation is also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
And I think I might recommend also that your levy court commissioner is Mr. Scott. You know, maybe you ought to get together with him. He's our levy court spokesman. And he might be able to help you out or speak on this subject more than what we have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here that's in opposition to this application would like to speak? Is there anybody on the phone, Mark, is in opposition would like to speak?
For our guests joining us online, if you would like to speak in opposition to application C2601, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, and I didn't see anybody else get up, so we'll be taking this application up next week. Thank you all for attending. We'll now go into our second application for tonight. It's actually C26-02. Owner is Delmarva Power and Light, P.O. Box 30846, Charlotte, North Carolina. Additional contact is Ingenuity Infrastructure, Stephen Amos, P.A., Ridge Avenue, Suite 323, Red Bank, New Jersey. Property location is 3370 Farmington Road, Harrington, Delaware. Present zoning district is IG. Relation to the growth zone is inside. Present use is an electrical substation. The proposed use is the same with a control structure. Levy Court district is Mr. Hertz. School district is Lake Forest. Fire district is Harrington Station 50. 2.9 plus or minus acres on the east side of Farmington Road. Is there someone here to represent this application?
Yes, sir.
You give us your name and address, and are you an attorney?
Yes, sir. I'll introduce myself. Good evening.
You won't have to be sworn in then.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Jester, Commissioners, Mr. Walton, members of the public, and members of planning staff. My name is Mackenzie Sindelar, and I'm an attorney at the law firm of Saul Ewing with offices in Wilmington, Delaware. And I'm here on behalf of our client, Delmarva Power and Light, which I'll refer to throughout my presentation as Delmarva and DP&L. Representatives of the applicant are also present this evening, including Diego Pineda, DP&L substation engineer, Jeff Leon, also a DP&L substation engineer, and Beatrice Collette, DP&L principal and project manager, who's joining remotely. Other members of the project team are also joining remotely, including John Crowhart, professional engineer and project manager with Burns McDonnell, as well as Stephen Amos, professional engineer with Ingenuity Infrastructure. As was introduced, the applicant seeking a conditional use for an electric substation with control enclosure. I'll provide an overview of the site and the conditional use request, and at the conclusion of our presentation, we can, of course, answer any questions that you may have. So the property is located on the east side of Farmington Road, approximately 660 feet north of Fairground Road, south of Harrington in Kent County. The property is approximately 2.9 acres, and it currently operates as an electric substation. It was grandfathered with an existing 600 square feet control house. While the applicant does not know the exact year that the Harrington substation became operational, they have blueprints from 1936 that reference structures at this site. The applicant believes the facility was built between 1936 and 1938, meaning the site has operated in this way for at least 90 years, possibly longer, predating the zoning code. The applicant seeks a conditional use for an expansion of and improvements to the existing substation with a control enclosure. The project primarily involves replacing the older control building with a new control enclosure and upgrading existing equipment, including breakers, switches, and relays. The existing 600 square foot control house and certain other structures that support wires for the substation will be removed. These improvements are essential for modernizing and maintaining critical electrical infrastructure, reflecting routine upgrades necessary to support a safe and reliable energy system as customers' needs evolve. Notably, the proposed work will take place entirely within the existing substation footprint. I'll also add that the new enclosure is necessary for several reasons. First, the current control house is cramped, making operations and maintenance very challenging. Second, the applicant is investing in new transmission relays and a more centralized housing for all relays, which enhances safety and efficiency. And finally, these upgrades directly address safety concerns regarding electrical operations, again, improving reliability and performance. In terms of zoning and conditional use standards and considerations, the site itself is zoned IG, general industrial, according to section 205-7K of the code. The purpose of this district is to provide a wide variety of industrial uses, including those that may produce some objectionable conditions, and to concentrate more intense industrial uses in areas that would least impact neighboring land uses. The proposed use is classified as an industrial use, and it aligns with other uses in the zoning district that are permitted by right, by conditional use or otherwise, and is permitted technically as a utility minor within this district. The proposed use is also consistent with the historical use of the property, as I've mentioned. Nearby properties to the west and northwest are primarily residential, while the parcel to the south remains vacant and the property to the northeast is designated for manufacturing. As previously mentioned, this site has operated in this way for at least 90 years, predating actually the residential development nearby and other uses such as Burris Cold Storage, though it does not predate the original hippodrome at the Harrington State Farm Fairgrounds. To the applicant's knowledge, the substation has operated responsibly without incident or adverse impact on adjacent properties. With the planned upgrades, it will continue to serve this essential role, enhancing service while operating in a manner consistent with its past and present use. As this commission knows, the purpose of the conditional use procedure is to provide for certain uses which cannot be well adjusted to their environment in particular locations, with full protection offered to surrounding properties by rigid application of the district regulations. These uses either have unusual characteristics or are generally of public or semi-public character and are essential and desirable for general convenience and welfare, but because of the nature of the use, the importance of its relationship to the comprehensive plan, and possible impact, not only on neighboring properties, but on large sections of the county, requires the exercise of planning, judgment on location and site plan. Furthermore, conditional use should be approved only if it is found that the location is appropriate and not in conflict with a comprehensive plan, that the public health, safety, and general welfare will not be adversely affected, that adequate off-street parking facilities will be provided, and that necessary safeguards will be provided for protection of surrounding property and persons, further provided that the additional standards of the conditional use article of the code are complied with. Here, the proposed substation with a control enclosure will meet the criteria outlined in section 205-66 that I just read into the record for the following reasons. The proposed use serves a public interest by providing essential utility services to the community. As an electric substation, it plays an essential role in ensuring reliable power supply, which is of course critical for the welfare of residents and businesses in the area. Historically, the site has served as an electric substation and has successfully supported similar uses on a smaller scale. Continuing this function, now with necessary upgrades, aligns with the established character of the area. Additionally, existing safeguards such as a robust existing fence and security measures are already in place and will remain. The proposed use also adheres to underlying zoning district requirements. The project also aligns with the comprehensive plan, which emphasizes the need for reliable utility infrastructure to support the county's technology and accessibility objectives. By modernizing the electrical facilities, the project supports those strategic objectives that are outlined in the plan. And finally, the improvements planned for the substation will enhance overall public health, safety, and welfare rather than adversely affecting them. Upgrades to the facility will modernize existing systems, resulting in increased safety, efficiency, and reliability for Kent County customers. Finally, all the general conditions specified under the code have been complied with, and the applicant has also complied with the standard conditions of 205-72E, one of which is not applicable at all. I know that was in the material and staff report. So in conclusion, the proposed conditional use for the electric substation with control enclosure is consistent with the zoning district and its requirements and Kent County's comprehensive plan. I'll conclude there and entertain any questions that you may have. And as I said, we do have the engineers nearby too that can answer any technical questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I do have a little clarification. It's not the Harrington Fairgrounds, it's the Delaware State Fairgrounds.
You're right.
And what you read into what's in the initial record.
You're right. Thank
and
you,
does
sir.
it have anything to do with the solar farm on the Hobbs property across on the other side?
Yep, so that's a good question. So the one of the immediate benefits of these upgrades will support that interconnection of the solar development. But these upgrades in general are being carried out throughout the state to substations across the state. And so this is part of that larger objective as well.
Thank you very much. So,
you're welcome.
Because I don't know what that solar farm benefits. I know it's a green energy for some area, but do you happen to have that knowledge?
I don't, sir.
That's okay. We've already been through that horse field.
Sure.
So, okay, I'm going to open up to any of the commissioners. Mr. Galvery?
Just a few questions just to get things into my head. So we're improving the property, obviously, and we're making it safer, and I would imagine as a result of these improvements, more attractive if you were riding by it. So is it safe to assume that the amount of traffic that would be involved in, say, maintenance would be less than the current property because it's more refined or more updated and modernized?
I can't speak to that issue. I would say it would be at least the same.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
And then another question I had was the overall capacity output of this substation. Will this modernization increase that capacity, or does it remain pretty much the same as it was?
I would have to defer specifically to one of the engineers that are here, but I can certainly bring someone up to answer that question.
The only reason why I asked that is just that I'm just wondering if I'm just looking out in terms of surrounding areas. It's not anything that I have any particular concern about, but increased capacity sometimes is associated with increased noise. So I'm just kind of curious about that. Also curious about the light footprint from dusk to dawn, whether it's you have more modernized security and so forth, whether the lighting around there that is non-essential except for maintenance or certain things like that are on motion detectors, or are they constantly on? I only look at this from a wildlife point of view because an awful lot of wildlife has problems with more and more light becoming permanent rather than infrequent. And that was it, really. Modernizing and keeping the same footprint and doing a better job is always a good thing. But just from a neighbor point of view, is thinking about sound, thinking about light, and thinking about traffic.
If you'd like, Steve Amos on the phone might be able to help answer the capacity or light question. I would need to ask him to weigh in on those issues. Mm-hmm.
Mark, can you pull him up?
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any questions? I do have one for Sarah. I know when we do cell towers and all, they're required to landscape around it, but I don't see any landscaping around this particular location. They're not required?
It's an existing facility, and the footprint of what they're changing is interior to it. So it doesn't call for what you would see in a brand new site plan.
Yeah, because I know I lived in that area, so I noticed you've removed everything that used to be there in the front.
I can tell you why.
Okay.
So yeah, it's actually a safety and security reason. So there was a lot of issues. You may have heard about people stealing copper and things like that. So the screening was removed, and so it's actually safest and most secure to have the facility as it is. So there's no additional screening proposed. And there's also, and I could have one of the engineers speak to this too. I asked these same questions as I was preparing. It's best to keep the area around the fencing clear as well due to existing grounding grids too. So that's why there isn't any screening here, and it's not required by code.
Okay, understand that.
Yep.
Denise, do you have any questions for this applicant?
No, thanks for asking.
Okay. Was there something needs to be said, sir?
It's Stephen Amos at the bottom. Yep.
Sure. Mr. Amos, I see that you're unmuted. If you can give your name and address and be sworn in, and then field questions from the board.
Sure. My name's Stephen Amos, 861 West Briar Avenue, Toms River, New Jersey.
Mr. Amos, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. So there was 2 open questions, Steve, and if this isn't something you can answer, we can also have someone else answer. But the one was about capacity here, if there'll be improved capacity in general, and the other question was about the light footprint for the area, concern about wildlife that
Sure.
one of the commissioners had.
And Mackenzie, I did work on the site plan and the civil side of this, so the capacity I'm not going to be able to speak to. And I also believe that one of the reps there from the power company would be better able to speak about the actual light footprint.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, can I ask about sound? Does this generate any sound? Are you going to have somebody else sworn in, or the gentleman on?
You should, yeah, you're going to need to swear in one of the
substation
guys.
engineers. Yes.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so is he done with his comments?
Yes, sir.
On the phone? Okay, sir, if you give us your name and address, you can be sworn or affirmed.
Yep. So my name is Diego Pineda, substation engineer for Delmarva Power.
Sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Pull the microphone up to you, sir. We can't hear you.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how about the noise?
So there should be no additional noise. Same with the capacity. Capacity is limited by the transformers that we have in the substation. Those won't be changing. We shouldn't be seeing any additional noise or increased capacity.
Could you also speak to the light issue?
Yes, we will be adding lights on the new control house, obviously, but they will be on motion sensors, so they will not be on when not necessary, only during maintenance or during nighttime activities as field personnel require it.
Is that okay, Mr. Galbraith? Thank you. Thank you for answering those questions. Any other commissioners have any questions for any of these three individuals? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that's in favor of this application would like to speak? Anyone else in favor of this application would like to speak? Third and final call, and I'll ask on the phone line, is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this application?
For any of our other guests online, if you'd like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. No hands raised online at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. So now we'll go to the negative side. Is there anyone here that's opposed to this application? Anyone here that's opposed to this application would like to speak? Anyone here that's opposed to this application would like to speak? Third and final call, even online. Is there anyone here opposed to this application would like to speak?
For our guests online, if you would like to speak in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. Still no hands raised online, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you all, and we'll be taking this application up next week at our business meeting. Next is our third and final application for tonight. It's plan number and title SL-26-03 Barrett's Landing. Location is located on the south side of Barrett's Chapel Road, 860 feet southeast of Buffalo Road. Owner is Prowse Farms, LLC, 2000 Brent Jordan Way, Milford, Delaware. Applicant at Eastern States Development, 818 First State Boulevard, Wilmington, Delaware. Engineers, Becker Morgan Group, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware. Present zoning district is AC. Levy Court District is the 4th, Mr. Scott. School District is Lake Forest. Fire District is Frederica. Station 49. Site size is 90.12 acres, plus or minus. Relation to the gross zone is inside. Density is 2.71 units per acre. Streets are going to be public. Water is Artesian Water Company, and sewer is Kent County Sewer. And I assume, Mr. Ryman, you're here to represent this application. Would you give us your name and address, please?
Mike Ryman, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth?
Yes.
Go right ahead, sir. Good to see you here again.
Good seeing you as well. Good evening, commissioners. As I said, my name is Mike Ryman with Becker Morgan. We're the engineers for the Barrett's Landing subdivision project that we're going to present this evening. I do want to introduce members of our team. I've had John Falkowski with me, who is our project engineer. John Pardee, our legal counsel. Rich Julian with Benchmark Builders, the developer of the project. And Jim McCauley with Watershed Eco, who is our environmental scientist. So we are here to present an application to request preliminary subdivision approval for Barrett's Landing subdivision, which is a 244 lot single family development on 90 acres. It's not switching. I'm hitting the button. I swear this gets rigged when I come here. I think do you do this to me? Is that what you do? All good. Thank you. Technology doesn't like me. All right. So first I want to begin by just kind of getting our bearings straight as to where this property is located. You can see the yellow arrow there is pointing to our site location, which is between Magnolia and Frederica on the sort of northern side of Frederica. This property is located within Kent County's growth zone, which is highlighted in the purple boundary on the map. And the growth zone is where development is encouraged in areas with infrastructure and to protect agricultural lands outside of this zone. Developments within this zone are serviced by or planned for central water and sewer and other infrastructure. The 2025 state strategies for policies and spending map is shown on this slide, and you can see where the word site is. That is our location. It is within level 2 of the state strategies for spending. Level 2 is identified as urbanizing areas and receiving priority funding for infrastructure, which aligns with this development. Next is the Kent County Sewage Disposal District map. This property is highlighted with the red now word site there, is located within Kent County Sewer District. It was annexed into the Spring Creek area on October 14th of 2025 via resolution number 4135. Next, zoning. This property is zoned agricultural conservation, AC. We are not proposing to change that zone. This zoning district allows for single-family detached dwellings, which is exactly what is being proposed with this application. And the AC zoning district in the green is completely surrounding this property, so clearly consistent. Next is the Magnolia Transportation Improvement District, or TID. This is currently under development in consultation with DelDOT and Kent County. It is anticipated that this TID will be complete by the summer of this year. You can see our project highlighted by the star on the map is located within that TID. And TIDs are where growth is planned and infrastructure is planned, highway infrastructure particularly, is planned to align with growth. Next is, just wanted to point out the location of this relative to the Little Heaven grade separated interchange, which I'm sure everybody has probably driven through at this point. It was completed in the fall of 2019. It was a $40 million project. The extents of that project are highlighted in yellow. This created an overpass and some service road connectivity and access onto Route 1, realigned Barrett's Chapel Road to the top. Our site literally is at the limits of that highway improvement. This was a major highway and transportation infrastructure improvement, which is in very close proximity to our site, which means that our site will have really good and safe access to Route 1 to head north and south. As it relates to the comprehensive plan identifies this area as low-density residential. The applicable zoning districts in this area are agricultural conservation, of which this property is currently zoned. And within that district, it is noted in your comprehensive plan that single-family detached residential is an appropriate use in the zoning district and within the comprehensive plan. And that, again, is what is being proposed here. This is now zooming in on the site itself. You can see Barrett's Chapel Road off to your right. Where that curve starts to happen at the bottom of the page, that is the extent of that realignment of Barrett's Chapel Road that I just talked about as part of the Little Heaven project. We've surveyed the property. One of the first things that we do as we develop a piece of property is survey the property, identify any of the resources on the property. We hire somebody like Jim to go out there and take a look at the wetlands and produce a report, which is part of the application. And what you see on this plan is that this is about a 90-acre parcel. A majority of the parcel is in agricultural, being farmed, actively farmed. There are some woods in the back of the property. There are some wetlands on the property. You can see those highlighted in the blue line there, and it kind of goes along the perimeter of the property. We also have shown the 25-foot wetlands buffer, which is per the Kent County Code. That is shown in yellow. There is also a floodplain. You can see that highlighted in green on the map, largely outside the agricultural area and closer to the streams. And then also there is a stream buffer in your code, and that is highlighted there in yellow and identified appropriately. That little sort of pond figure there in the back right here is an existing man-made burrow pit. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but this was the first sort of step in the design process to understand the constraints of the property, respect those buffers, and respect those resources as we develop the design. Moving on to our plan itself, this is the layout of the project. This is 244 single-family lots. We do have 2 access points proposed to Barrett's Chapel Road, one located there, and then a second access point located there. We did feel that it was appropriate to have 2 access points for this subdivision for circulation purposes. A majority of this project is within the agricultural lands. We have preserved 85% of woods on this property. If you go back to the previous slide, you can picture a majority of the woodlands are in this area back here. We're really leaving that preserved. We are proposing to convert the burrow pit into a stormwater management practice. That is one of the waivers we're going to talk about in a little bit. The average lot size here is about 5,200 square feet. The code allows for a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet. We are about 5,200 square feet with lots that are in the 52 by 100 or 52 by 110 foot range. There are landscape buffers in accordance with your code. We have additional landscaping along the frontage of Barrett's Chapel Road. We've set the lots back off the road, provided landscaping there. The design of the development is one, we have good circulation through the development, interconnection within the development, and we do not have a lot of dead-end streets. We do have one cul-de-sac area here on the southern side. We're somewhat limited there due to the constraints of the property and the existing drainage way that is in this location. We are proposing some active recreation here in the middle of the site. We have a gazebo and some areas there. And then some walking paths that connect and go around our stormwater facility, and then walking paths that get some access down closer towards Spring Creek. This site, there is no disturbance to the wetlands, but for the stormwater pond, and we are respecting the buffers in accordance with the code. I do want to point out that this design that you're seeing here is essentially identical to the design of the Village of East Ridge subdivision in northern Kent County, just south of Smyrna, Delaware. The lot sizes are essentially the same. That project was actually designed by the same engineering firm, Becker Morgan, built by the same developer here, Rich Julian from Benchmark Builders. I believe it's fully built out now. I know that project has gone very well. There's been, no complaints there. It's been a successful project by all measures. So there is, a testament to what is being done here has been tested and proven and been successful in Kent County. Okay. Moving on to bus stop locations. We did coordinate with the Lake Forest School District. There is correspondence in the packet with Lake Forest School District. They requested 3 to 4 bus stops in these locations. And what you see is the bus route that comes into the site, enters into the primary entrance, and then circumvents the property. There are 4 locations, generally at areas of open space, so there's areas for kids to congregate safely. And then as we zoom in the one location that we have here, which is near the cluster mailbox location, we do have parking spaces there, so if parents wanted to drive their kids, and park there, they could, and wait for the bus in the morning. The letter is in the packet, and I can't remember exactly what it says, but I think it basically states this is exactly what they're looking for. So we did work with them and believe we've satisfied their request in terms of buses. Entrance improvements. As with any project, of course, there is going to be entrance improvements. I know there was some correspondence from some neighbors in the packet with concerns given the existing condition of the road. The road's not going to stay in that condition. We are going to add turn lanes, and what you see here is at our primary entrance, there will be a new right turn lane, pointing right there, about 240 feet. There will be a new left turn lane, 285 feet. And then at this entrance, which is anticipated to be a right in and right out entrance, there will be a right turn lane of 195 feet. In addition to that, bike lanes will be added, which is required by DelDOT, and shoulders would be added as well. I think someone had made a reference to, well, there's no shoulders. There's going to be shoulders on this access and throughout the frontage of this project. And it will connect to the limits of the improvement from the Little Heaven project. Drainage. There's always questions and concerns about drainage. This project will be drained via a system of closed drainage pipes. This is just showing really just one block as a prototypical design of how we would drain these. In yellow, what you see are storm drain pipes. It is anticipated that we will have storm drain pipes in the rear of the lots with catch basins here, and grading the lots to those points. And in fact, I think that's consistent with the most recently adopted drainage code that Kent County has adopted. That closed drainage will connect to the closed drainage within the street system and ultimately drain to the stormwater management facilities. This will all be reviewed by Kent Conservation District as well. And then the picture at the top just gives you kind of a cross section to show how that's all going to work. With this being 5,200 square foot lots, we want to make sure that there's adequate drainage, and the best way to do that is really through a closed drainage system. This is very similar to how the Village of East Ridge project was also designed and constructed. And I did speak with Jared Atkins to find out if there's been complaints there or issues, and there really has not been drainage issues within that development. This has, again, been a proven design that we're going to replicate here. I mentioned, and it's in your packet as well, I did mention there's a number of waivers here that I wanted to discuss with you. The first one is related to a roadway crossing within a wetland buffer. And the reason for that goes back to, and that is actually shown by the number 1 on the map. So in order for us to have the second entrance and have spacing and meet spacing for that, we need to cross the existing ditch that is in that location, number 1. This is something that's been done numerous times on projects throughout the county, but it does require a waiver from this body to do that. And that is one of the waivers that we're requesting, and I believe staff has recommended approval. The second waiver is for a walking trail within a wetland buffer. That is shown as number 2, so right here. So we have a walking trail around our stormwater facility and into the woods to try to activate that space and bring that in as an amenity, connecting it with our walking trail system internally within the development. But because it is within the buffer area of a wetland, now keep in mind that particular wetland for that facility, it's a man-made burrow pit, but it technically meets the criteria of a wetland. So it is a wetland, but it's a man-made burrow pit that we're going to convert into a stormwater facility. That request does come with a waiver, and the staff, again, has recommended approval of that waiver. And really, we're trying to balance a couple things. If we push the walking trail out further, we're going to have to clear more trees to do the walking trail, to have more distance from the stormwater. We'd rather not do that, so we're trying to minimize that impact. And let's see, going back, number 3. Number 3 is what I had talked about previously, conversion of non-jurisdictional wetlands to a stormwater pond. an existing burrow pit facility, not the safest thing to have on a property. It doesn't have the right slopes. It's, not something that's maintained. And we felt the best use of that was to convert that into a stormwater management facility. We did reach out to, and John, if you could actually hand out the letter, whoever, they already have it. Oh, excellent. So we did reach out to Jared Atkins at the Kent Conservation District to discuss that idea. He is fully supportive of that. He's provided a letter which you all should now have supporting this waiver for the same reasons. It is a safer improvement to convert that facility into a stormwater pond that has slopes and safety benches and other measures required by DNREC and Kent Conservation District. So that is in your packet. Next is number 4, which is related to a 100-foot setback from building restriction line to a stormwater management facility. The staff is recommending a modified approval of 30 feet from parcel lines and 35 feet from building setbacks. We are in agreement with staff on that recommendation. And if you look at the letter from Jared Atkins, he's also supportive of those distances as well. Those actually exceed the state requirements for setbacks from stormwater management anyway. And then lastly, number 5 is a waiver from linkage streets to adjacent lands. And number 5, what this is talking about is having connections to, say, this property or Cattail Creek to our north. We have a stream that essentially circumvents the property here. And so, that would be required disturbance and bridges and things and wetland disturbances that would be excessive in order to provide those connections. Cattail Creek did not provide a linkage over to us, and it doesn't really make sense to provide a linkage back over to them. So that is why we are requesting a waiver from the linkages. There's really no opportunity to do that. So to summarize on the waivers, all of these have been recommended to be approved by your staff, or the planning department staff, I should say. And we ask for your approval if you were to make a motion to approve it. So to conclude, this property is located within the Growth Zone Overlay District. It is properly zoned AC with the appropriate unit type for that zoning district, which is a single-family zoning district. The property is within your sewer district. It is within level 2 state strategies, which is where development is encouraged. It is within the Magnolia TID, which comes with coordinated transportation improvements. This exceeds all minimum code requirements and provides additional environmental protection, minimizes tree clearing above and beyond the code limits. This is a pedestrian-friendly, walkable community with a design focused on quality. And the project conforms with the intent of the comprehensive plan and surrounding zoning. And as stated before, this is a proven successful design that's been implemented by this exact same team within the county already. And then lastly, we did receive a copy of the staff report. We don't have any issue with the recommendations in the staff report. And the staff did recommend approval of the project. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners in a minute. I got a couple on my own. I don't like the idea of you taking down 3 to 4 acres of woodland because I'm into forestry quite a bit and conservation. I guess there's no way for a redesign to maintain any more woods.
Well, so we did our best to minimize the woods. It's far in excess of what we could do under the county code. We're protecting about 85% of all woods, and I believe we would only need to, Sarah, what would be the minimum that we could have done? 30%? We could have cleared as much as 70% and saved 30. Part of the reason is the conversion of that one area to a stormwater facility. So part of it is the burrow pit area itself. So in order to do that properly, we do have to clear some woods to make that happen. The other reason is the stormwater management I mean, naturally, those drainage locations they're near woods typically, right? That's where the creek is, that's where the drainage goes. So we do need to build stormwater. We need to make sure it drains and works properly. So we did our best to minimize it with the 3 acres, but we're saving 85% of the woods.
Have you met with any of the neighbors or pre-meeting with any neighbors in the neighborhood?
We have not.
The only other thing I have is actually on sheet number C13, sheet number C313, excuse me. I've never seen this on a sheet before, but it actually shows a setback line on the outside parcel actually going into a lot for lot 16. I've never seen that. I think you can straighten that out on your CAD by just doing away with one of those lines.
We can, and I think we talked about taking care of that. We are going to. It was in the code. I think you're talking about the 100-foot stream setback. If I remember
No, I'm talking
correctly.
about the parcel setback on the outside where it just comes from the parcel lines. It's out along the roadway, and it actually one of the existing parcels setback lines that goes into the development there, where it's on the side. And like I said, it's lot 16 on sheet number C313.
I'm looking.
And I tell you what, I'd hate to be a surveyor to have to lay this out, because time you put this on a hood of a Suburban or something, I don't know how you get it all straight.
I got to pull that sheet, Mr. Jester. If you give me 1 second.
Talk about how big this plan is. I've done a lot of layout in my time, but to lay this on the hood of a truck and try to do the layout, I know it's got to be very, very challenging.
Yeah, so what that is, that's the perimeter setback of the perimeter boundary, which really, as part of it's open space. It really wouldn't apply in this situation. We can clean that up.
I think you can clean that up, because that might cause a little problem in writing the legal description of that.
You got
lot.
it. You got it.
So I think some commissioners have questions for you.
Sure.
First one here is Mr. Mills.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your presentation. But I'm in the bus business, school bus business, and I know about Mr. Weller's letter that he wrote to the Lake Forest, from the Lake Forest School District. What wasn't addressed in that? Now, this is designed for when this total project is completed. And yes, the stops are great the way he's got it laid out, but this project's not going to come up overnight. It's going to be years and years down the road before it's completed. And in his letter, what it states is that once the roads are double blacktop, the finished layers put on is when these stops would come into play. But what's not in there is when you sell houses, you could sell 20 houses, so I don't know where you're going to start on this development. Probably in the front, I would say. Those kids got to be loaded out on the highway. Now, I've been in the bus business 40 years. I've been in Lake Forest School District for 40 years. I'm not in Lake Forest now, but I've been there, and I know this route. I run up and down this route for years and years, picking up kids along here. Of course, in those days, when I picked them up, you couldn't see the house the next one you come to. But we've had these other developments come up here before us here in the last 4 or 5 months, and we have addressed this, and they have reconciled it by doing something other, being able to accommodate those kids that are going to be, houses are going to be sold prior to this project being finished. And the way these laid out here, this is only when the project is totally finished, is kind of bus going in there. Because so what else can be done to change that entrance that these kids can get on and off these buses safely?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. We don't want anybody picked up out on Barrett's Chapel. That doesn't make any sense to have buses out there and have kids out there at all. So I totally agree. I think from a phasing standpoint, it's interesting because you're right to suggest the project's going to start in the front of the job, but our stormwater management and our sewer connection actually happens back here. So it's a unique situation where we have some of the stormwater and utilities in the back of the job, and we have access in the front. So what that is leading us to do from a phasing standpoint is build this road here first. And so that means that we can get this bus stop in the back where the parking is in phase one. And we think that will help address those concerns.
Definitely would, in my opinion, yes, in order to get, just so that bus can get around. And you can put the road in so to accommodate a bus.
Understood.
Is that good, Mr. Mills? Mr. Peterman?
I see project is surrounded by wetlands, and you got the blue line that goes all the way around it from what my picture shows. And you're supposed to be 100 foot off the blue line, that's the main stream, and you want a variance for that. And this is in the floodplain. Do you have any kind of management for this blue line stream?
So let's go back. Let me pull that up. So the stream buffer is right here. This orange, I can't point to it, the orange line that we have right there.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yep. We are not requesting a waiver from that. There was a comment.
I didn't hear you.
Huh?
I didn't understand.
We're not requesting a waiver from that. There was a comment, I think, in the packet about making sure that that buffer was not on lots. So the county code does allow that to be on lots. What it says is that you can't build within it. So sometimes those buffers end up on the lot, but outside the accessory dwelling setbacks. You have a 5-foot accessory dwelling setback. So if that buffer comes onto the lot, say 4 feet, it's technically code compliant because you're not going to build anything in that 4 feet. But we did look at the comment from planning department, and we can make the adjustment just to get it off the lots anyway, if that, satisfies the concern.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Would that be the answer to under staff recommendations under B, where it talked about the proposed lot?
I believe that is correct.
Is that what you just answered from what he questioned you about?
Yes, it is. Yes.
I just want to make sure we're not double talking or talking about something that we haven't addressed. So that's already been addressed in what you just said.
Correct.
Mr. Davis?
Thank you. I like your plan. I do have a concern. We dealt with this one time before. It's a follow-up, actually, what Mr. Wills was talking about. Not knowing how you're going to develop this by sections or grid systems or whatever you want to call it. I heard you tell Mr. Mills that you, in the build-out time, I don't know how long that's going to be, you'll be able to get that worked out. So my concern is that as you continue building, you're going to have a lot of heavy equipment. You're going to have people coming in loads of dirt. You're going to have heavy equipment. You're going to have people coming in stone, bouncing all over the road. And depending on where the bus stop may be, that the bus would have to go in there and even turn around. It raises a concern with me. How are you going to handle the materials coming in there? Because it could be very dangerous. We did have another situation where we was able to work out they had a secondary entrance on another road, but you don't have that option here. You have, I would only assume you start off with one entrance, and you're going to have debris coming in at those bus stops. Or somebody happens to walk out to the thing, I don't know how you're going to address that. And I think that needs to be addressed because our public safety of the kids is top priority with us, with the commission. So I just want to bring it to your attention because I don't know how you're going to do it. It's going to be a 20-year layout. It's going to take a while to do this. But I think that really needs to be addressed because trucks will be going in and out. And we don't want something to fall off those trucks and injure one of those kids waiting at that bus stop. So I'm just bringing it up. I'd really like to kind of have an answer, not so much tonight, but I'd like to know what you're going to do about it. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Yep. I mean, we'll work with DelDOT. We have no problem putting in a second construction access to kind of separate it from the primary access. We've done that in the past. we would need to work with the Department of Transportation through the final engineering and that process, through the entrance design process, to site that, and also with Kent Conservation District. So there are some limitations with phasing because you have a 20-acre disturbance limit when you phase, and that's controlled by DNREC and KCD. So we'd work with them on how we would phase all of that, but we would have no problem putting in, a secondary construction entrance to to get that truck traffic off the primary entrance. That would be fine if DelDOT and KCD would allow it.
You say you do have a problem with a secondary entrance for construction?
No, I do not have a problem with.
Okay.
I was wondering why you looked at me, and I could tell you didn't like my answer.
When you agreeing to it.
I do not have a problem with that.
Yeah, just as long as you're aware of it, because that's a bad situation, and I just want to bring it up. I like your plans. It's in our fire district, so I like everything you're doing there, but I do have concerns about public safety, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Mr. Gaubrey?
Just a few. Environmental issues more than anything else. So in the document, and well, I'll tell you, there's an awful lot of pages to go through. It was like a deposition or something, or discovery, I guess. At any rate, when I'm looking through the different agencies and what they have to say, some of them are more specific, and you're actually required to work with them, DelDOT and so forth and so on. DNREC tends to be a little bit more relaxed and suggests that you might have a conversation with them, and they give you a phone number. Under one of DNREC's listings, though, is forested wetlands, and they actually give a list of suggestions. I think it's one of the few of the DNREC categories where they actually suggested what they'd like to see you do. I'm just wondering if you are planning on working with them on some of those suggestions, since that you do have, although it's not huge, I hate to see us lose what we've got, so we do have forested and wetland areas around there.
Yeah, I mean, so other than the man-made burrow pit, we're not, and the road crossing, we're not proposing, disturbance to wetlands. It's interesting, when I had the conversation with Mr. Atkins at KCD about our stormwater facility in this location, one of the things that sort of jumped out to him was, hey, this would be a great spot to do kind of a forested wetland stormwater practice as a BMP. And we said we would be happy to work with him on that through that process. That, of course, comes through all the final engineering, but we think that there's a way possibly to enhance the stormwater facility in that regard.
Actually, that's a great idea, and it picks up on one of my other questions is that you do have that stream all the way around, and I'm just wondering if, as a baseline, before you start to do construction, if you can get an idea of what the, from a biological point of view, what the health of that stream is, and then as a steward of that land that you're now developing, that will have an impact on that stream, is being able to monitor periodically whether the quality of that stream has been degraded as a result of the community, or has been maintained relatively the same. Very rarely does it improve, but maybe it does. But I'd hate to see it degrade, and all it is a neat-looking picture on a map. But in reality, if you were actually to go to it, nothing lives there. So I'm just thinking that it might be wise to have a baseline analysis of what the health of that stream is, just so that you can reassure yourself, your community moving forward, that we're not having an adverse impact on it.
Yeah, I mean, so fortunately, DNREC really addresses this through stormwater management requirements that we have, and erosion and sediment control requirements, which this project will comply with all of those. And of course, it'll go through a rigorous review by Kent Conservation District as it relates to that. It should be noted that as it stands right now, you can see here, this entire area is in agriculture. So it's being disturbed
by the agriculture
agriculture activity, and there's no controls at all. And there's no stormwater management. There's nothing to catch sediment as it's being disturbed. So when this community is done, we will have stormwater management features. All of the drainage will be collected via closed drainage, sent through those features. They'll be designed and approved in accordance with DENREC. So I think it will be an enhancement, not a detriment.
Okay. The last question that had to do with one of your waivers, the waiver 2, I think it was, where the staff was okay with it as long as we made it ADA compliant and hard surfaces. And I'm not up on ADA compliancy in terms of walking paths, but I'd hope that we can find a way of making those hard surfaces pervious rather than an impervious surface, dealing again with our runoff and so forth.
Yeah, it's something we can definitely look at, and I thank you for bringing that up because I didn't mention it, and I should have, because we really didn't have an objection to providing a hard surface to be ADA compliant. We're fine with that. We'll work with, Conservation District on the ultimate design of that, and I don't know whether it can be permeable or not at this point, but we don't have an issue with it being a hard surface.
If we look at some of our parks around the state, there are a lot of them that are ADA compliant, that are compacted and more than suitable, I would think, that are pervious. So I think you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think it's already out there. But it would be nice if we could go that route. It might actually be less expensive to do, but then again, over long-term maintenance might be more. I don't know. But in terms of the runoff and so forth, it'd be nice if it was pervious surfaces.
Understood.
Thank you, Mr. Galbraith. I think I'm having trouble with names tonight. Mr. Davis wants a complete explanation on what you want to do on one of your statements.
Yeah, okay, I guess sure. The commission would feel much more comfortable if probably next week, if you would come back at the next meeting and take one of these plans and show us where that secondary road is going to be for construction. I don't see why that would be a big issue. You pretty much know, I think, now what you got to do, because we're very concerned about that, but I think the commission would like to see it and on the diagram where it's going to be and let it go from there.
Yeah, I think that, I'm happy to do that, but here's the challenge with that. The challenge with that is that we don't have total control over that location. I think ultimately that's something that DelDOT's going to weigh in on, as well as KCD, and it's going to be part of the final engineering documents. Now, it'll certainly be part of the final plans that would be approved by the county, but we wouldn't be in a position to make that determination now, and anything that we would propose would have to go through that process, and we really aren't at that stage. We're happy to provide it and commit to providing it, but its exact location would be something that I don't know that we can portray at this time.
So you're basically passing the buck because you say you can't do it, and we're in a box.
No, I'm saying.
Let me finish, sir. I'm trying to be reasonable about this thing and do something for you because it is an issue, and now you claim that the state of Delaware can't do it in time. And I'm not happy about that. This should have been addressed probably before tonight's meeting because you're not going to build that place at one time. So as far as I'm concerned, and I think I can speak for a couple of commissioners sitting up here, we want to know what's going to happen. Even if it's just a preliminary plan. I'm not saying you have to go to DelDOT, get it certified, and get the stamp and all that approval stuff. We want to have an idea what it's going to be. Now, maybe you don't know how the developer is going to build out on this thing. What it's going to be a grid system from the front back to the front. We don't know, and I don't really care how you do it. What I care about is that kids are out there at that bus stop. I don't want some dump truck go by and a bunch of stone fall off the damn truck, and one of those kids get hurt. And I think it's a very reasonable request for public safety. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can present something preliminary. The way you described it, I think we can do that. I maybe misunderstood your request.
No problem.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Denise, online?
No, you have addressed some of the questions I had, and I do also want to say that to me, it looks like a very well-designed project.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Right, great, thank
you. Like I said, it's always good to see you at the podium.
You too.
Now open it up. Does anybody else here would like to speak in favor of this project and come up? Anybody else here would like to speak in favor of this project and come up? Third and final call and online. Is there anybody online that would like to speak in favor of this project or in the audience?
For our guests joining us online, if you'd like to speak in favor of this project, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. See no hands raised online, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll go to the negative side. I know we had quite a few communications about opposition to this, so I know there will be some people coming up. So I'll open it up to the negative. Is anybody here that's opposed to this application would like to speak? Come on up to the mic, give us your name and your address, and you can be sworn or affirmed.
Good evening. My name is Arthur Adams. I live at 4793 Barris Chapel Road.
Mr. Adams, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes. I believe the commissioners have received a packet I sent in about a week ago.
Yeah, I would like to say I've never seen a well-documented letter in opposition like that.
I had to get your attention.
I'm pretty sure Susan must have made it up, is all I got to say.
Yes, you did. By the way, my wife also lived there for over 50 years with me. I have
Right
a couple.
ahead.
I'm not going to go through the whole packet, but I want to bring up a couple things that are still concerning me. If you look at the plan right there, and I believe they called it the.
Sir, you can point. You can point on the screen in front of you. The screen in front of you.
And on the screen, you can point with your finger.
You can use your finger, please. Yep.
Okay. This area right here. Okay. It's dedicated wetland. Well, the way I understand it, that's 25-foot wetlands.
Try to speak into the mic, please.
It's tough, man. It's a 25-foot wetlands buffer. I need a little edification on that because right now, our ditch, which is connected to that 25-foot wetlands buffer, has been draining our farm, our neighbor's farm, and the property behind me. So basically, it's a live ditch. And I don't understand how, if it's a wetlands buffer, does that mean it's controlled by DNREC? And does that mean can it be maintained? And if it can be maintained, who's going to maintain it? I've been doing it for 20-some years. I'm getting too old to do it. Okay? Pardon me if I sound a little nervous. And they have asked for a variance to allow them to put a pipeline across it. If that variance is allowed for that pipeline, for the second driveway, then the variance should also include from my property ditch all the way through back to the back pond, which is right here, which actually for the many years was I believe my father-in-law dug it for cattle. It's been there for I don't know how many years, and actually it's been for ever since we've lived there, almost like a detention pond. Because as the ditch travels down to that pond, the pipe level on the other side of the pond was like 2 foot above the water level, which means when it drained there, it would build up, all of a sudden it would go to the bottom and travel out the pipe. So that's one of my first concerns is who's going to maintain that and can it be maintained? The second concern I have is the right-of-way, the state right-of-way, the improvements on the right-of-way, the infrastructure. I realize it's going to be wide and it's going to have the turning lanes and so forth. But if you look at our property and my neighbor's property, if you extend the shoulder over towards our property to the north, even 4 foot, the slope's going to change. When that slope changes, we will not be able to maintain that frontage. We've done that for 50 years. State hasn't taken care of it. Matter of fact, most of those property owners down through there have taken care of it themselves. So if the road is widened 4 foot, it's going to be awful close to the right-of-way. It's going to be a steep drop-off. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is in my packet, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. And my last concern is the pond. Not the pond, the pit, the borrow pit. Okay? It was dug many years ago. And it was used for farm, okay? Which is also meant it was used for farm, I don't want to say dump, but things were, trees and stuff, leaves and stuff were put back there, and I believe they were covered up. So I don't know if it's been investigated to the point where it could be considered a management pond for the whole development to go through and then continue out. Oh, the second entrance, the one that's farthest to the east. We're very concerned because if you look at it, it's directly across from an existing residence. Okay, our concern is, you know, all that traffic coming through there. First of all, why do they have two entrances? Why do they need two? Why can't the traffic go through the main entrance? And if they do have to have a second entrance, why can't they move it farther south? If you can see on the bottom right, the plan doesn't show how far south east the property line goes. I'm not an engineer, but I'm pretty sure this area down here has been farmed just as long as this area up in here, which means that there's plenty of room, I'm pretty sure, on the east side of this house.
Mr. Adams, you're getting close to your 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm almost done. East side of that house, between that and tied into the old Barrett's Chapel Road, which is now a dead end, and the existing farm lane ties into that road. So that traffic coming off this side would not even have to, almost fell down, would not even affect the new Barrett's Chapel Road. And I'm done. Thank you.
We appreciate all your comments.
Please read my book. Thank you.
And I know you learned them from when you went to Del Tech. Does anybody have any questions of this? Any questions from Mr. Adams? Mr. Peterman has some questions for you, sir.
Yeah, we're not done with you yet.
Okay, he told me to sit down.
On that entrance down by your farm in that bottom corner there, you're talking about the wetlands and the pipe that you're going to put across it.
Yes.
From my understanding, from the dealings I've had with the Corps of Engineers, they're the ones that are going to have to okay that or not okay it. That's not on us. We can't do
no, I know that. But my question is, if you approve this plans like it is, okay, based on what even if the course is, my concern is, who's going to take care of that ditch?
Well, that's a good concern because somebody on that wetland, on that blue line, is a ditch manager, and that ditch has a name to it that the soil conservation knows what it is, and they know who the management is on that ditch, and that.
So it wasn't the property owner for the last 40 years?
Well, you might own the property, but if that's the blue line, that's wetlands. Wherever that blue line is wetlands, and you're not allowed to disturb that without permission from the Corps of Engineers and the soil conservation and Denner.
I understand that.
Because that's state and federally and county funded.
How many years ago was it established as wetlands? They'll have to answer that question. So I personally have to contact the Corps?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have an office in Dover. They're up off College Road.
Okay.
I don't think there's any tax ditches in that area, Mr. Peterman, so there's no management out there. It's fair. It's a blue line stream is determined by the flow of the stream and all.
That's not tax sticks. I'm pretty sure it's not.
So he can address that. He can contact the right source. Any other questions from any commissioners for this one? Denise, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here opposed to this application would like to speak? Please give us your name and address and you'll be sworn or affirmed. And you can pull the mic down to you.
My name is Irene Larkin. I live at 4827 Bears Chapel Road.
Ma'am, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go right ahead.
I live the last house before you get out to the Old Bay Road. This diagram shows that the southern or the eastern driveway will be right in front of my driveway. If you look, the entrance into that smaller piece is right across the street from my driveway. How long will this development take? How many years? I will have to put up with dump trucks, construction trucks, every kind of truck you can think of, right across from my driveway. It's bad enough that we have a new development being built west of this, and then I believe there's another development, McGinnis's Road, there's supposed to be another development where nothing but dump trucks and pebbles and stones and beeping and trucks. I'm against this. You put that driveway there, how do I get out? It's bad enough now with all the traffic.
Can we see your house now, since they've changed the drawing?
Where it says Barrett's Chapel Road, right there. And that's where they have the entrance to the smaller piece of property, right in front of my driveway. I do not approve of this. And how many years will this take to be developed? Does anybody know? Has anybody said it's going to take us 2, 3, 4, 5 years? No one said. I'm sorry, I'm against this completely. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for this lady while she's at the podium? Thank you very much. Anybody else here opposed to this project and would like to speak? Anybody opposed and like to come up? I can speak for one element. I know Mr. Adams don't like the 2 entrance systems, but me and Mr. Davis being in the fire service and all, we always like at least 2 entrances to a development. And being it doesn't actually connect to any other side road entrance or any other development, that's why we like the 2, because if there's a major collision on the main entrance, we're afraid that the fire equipment and all wouldn't be able to get in there. So we always like to see at least 2 entrances to every development so it can be maintained for the emergency, EMS, and first responders. Anybody else here? I'll ask anybody online that would like to speak against this project. Mark?
For our guests joining us online, if there is anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising electronic hand. See no hands raised online, Mr. Chair.
One more time for in-house. I see a lot of people nobody's got up, so one more time. Is there anybody else here against this project and would like to speak? Okay, seeing, are you coming, sir? You can go right there. Give us your name and address. You can be sworn or affirmed. Pull the mic up to your...
Hello. Hi. Good evening. My name is Rob Rogers. I live at 203 Humphreys Drive in Camden.
Sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do. So, I got into this family about 30 years ago. And I remember the days of being on that farmland. Spent a lot of time with my children on that farmland. Not long after, that farmland becomes somebody else's. And when it became somebody else's, it was going to be preserved in land preservation. And that was what the goal was, is to always keep that land within the family. And they can probably attest to this. All of that family that's around there can also attest to this. The plan was to keep it with the family, so at some point, the family could eventually develop it. Obviously, that didn't happen. I have several concerns with what's happening right now. Number one, that many houses and 90 acres, it's going to be butts to nuts. And you know what I mean? That is an excessive amount of homes for fire service. Think of how many calls you're already responding to. Ambulances, our infrastructure, talk to our nurses, our doctors, talk to anybody that's simply trying to survive. Get a doctor's appointment today. My wife, who works in the emergency room, there's probably a 12 to 14-hour wait for people to get in. And now we're going to bring in how many homes? 200 and what? 44 new families. This seems excessive to me. I'm a realtor too, and I totally support home sales, okay? Totally support home sales, but excessive amount of 244 homes in a 90-acre parcel where you're going to give up your wetlands, you're going to be giving up your infrastructure of the farming areas. We only got this much left in this state. If we continue getting rid of it, we're going to eventually be shooting ourselves in the foot. And until the infrastructure is there, I say no. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for this individual? Thank you, sir. Seeing no more opposition to this particular development, we'll be taking it up next week at our business meeting. Thank you all, and I really appreciate all his attention tonight, and especially Mr. Adams for his long report that he turned in to us. Thanks again, sir. We're now down to any other public comment. Anybody else like to say anything, come to the mic. Seeing no public comment, we're into commissioner comments. Any commissioners have any comments? Seeing none, we're going down into any other business, Sarah, for tonight. So we'll be taking all these projects up next week, and I hope you all have a happy week and a great Easter. And I need a motion to adjourn and a second.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to adjourn.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to adjourn.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes, to adjourn.
Mr. Galvary?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Mills?
Yes, to adjourn.
Mr. Davis?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to adjourn. See you all next week.